Hello, Henning Pauli here. It's Sunday morning, and that means it's another rant. This time it really is. Sometimes it's sharing thoughts, sometimes it isn't, and sometimes it's sharing experiences. Sometimes it's just yelling at the camera because I'm pissed off about stuff. And that is today. If you gonna comment, oh my God, what's with the rants? You're only ranting. No, that's just what you're seeing because they somehow get more clicks than the reviews. If you don't want to see the rants, don't click on them, move on. It's only Sundays, rest of the week, reviews as always, usually 4 to 5, because that's what we do here. We don't sleep. There's something working right there for a new review. And I was going to go and play with my drift cars because I bought drift cars, little drift cars from Sturmkind, and I spent quite a bit of money on it, and the fuckers are not answering anywhere. I mean, that's a different rant. We could start that rant, but I was going to do that, and then I was like, I don't have a rant. So anyway, I bought these little drift cars from Sturmkind because, I mean, I don't have hobbies. I work on videos all day long. So half an hour in the evening with my brother playing with little drift cars on a really cool course and learning how it works and with, just cool. Look it up, drift with an exclamation point instead of a 1. So I bought these and they're not cheap, spent quite a bit of money on it. And then I had some questions about point system, and one of the cars wasn't behaving right and how the barriers get put together. I had a couple of questions. And this is a German company. They won some awards, and it's a small company, small community, and you would think you can get someone to respond. Called the number of the website, it's disconnected. Went to the Facebook page, wrote, get an automatic response, and the automatic response said, write to info. But by the way, within 1 or 2 days, we answer you here. But if not, write to info@Sturmkind or write to service@Sturmkind for these 2 different things. Okay, I waited 1 or 2 days. Nothing happened. Then I wrote to info. Then I wrote to service. Tried the phone number again, disconnected. Went to Instagram and wrote them there. Over a week. 0 response. How, Sturmkind, if anyone knows anyone there, step on some toes down in Speyer where they are, how is that possible? By now I spend, I don't know, $800 on toys, and they can't even answer a question? That is ridiculous, but that's not what this rant is about. We're talking about software today. We're talking about things that need software. And we're talking about something that is pretty bad in the video game world, and apparently it's now happening in our world as well, which is delivering things unfinished, delivering things way too close to launch day, which is more of an issue for us reviewers, but I'm going to get into that. So, video games. Halo Infinite came out, big Halo fan, and then, no multiplayer. I mean, I don't play multiplayer, didn't give a rat's ass about it. No co-op, that came later. If your game is unfinished, don't release it. But that's a big thing now. Let's deliver and then have it half finished. And we're going to fix the bugs along with the people that paid good money to be entertained. We are not your beta testers. We want a finished piece of software, which is why Grand Theft Auto was pushed back quite a bit because they were like, well, we want to deliver the game that they've been waiting for, not that we've promised and then we deliver half of it. So how does it relate to our world? Well, I'm going to mention some companies, and I would like these companies to know that I love you guys. I know many of them personally. I call them my friends. This is a heartfelt appeal to please not be stupid about this shit. The world isn't going to end if we don't get your plugin next week. It can be in 4 weeks. It's fine. It can be in 2 months, as long as it works. So, I'm going to mention these companies, but it is not these companies. It is everyone. Because if it was these companies, then it would be 1 or 2 that don't freaking know how to do a release schedule. It's everyone. It's the video game industry. Everyone's trying to throw stuff on the market as fast as possible. So I will mention a couple of examples and name names, but that's not to shame. That is to educate you and saying everyone does it. right? So we're talking about software for hardware, whether it is, for example, the Tonex plug. So the Tonex plug was going to be released, and they were debating, that's IK Multimedia, they were debating whether or not the plug would be released that week or that week, okay? But really until the day before, there were still updates to the app. And some things were working in the app and some things weren't. But how do you set a release date and still work on the app, which is necessary to do certain things, a day before? So I see when a new update comes in because people testing things are in something called Test Flight, which is on iOS. And in there you have access to the beta versions. And every time they upload a new beta version, I get a bing, there's a new test flight, do you want to install it? Yes, I put it on automatic, and then my phone goes bing, install the new update, bing, install the new update. So you could see updates coming in, by the hour sometimes. So they sent this thing to someone like me, which isn't an issue for you, because you're getting it on release day. And if it's really ready on release day, that's fine. But we're way too close with the beta to release for it to be really fully, released version. So I have to make my video a week before, likely weeks before, but I can't even do that anymore because shit isn't ready, right? So let's say I film my video 5 days before. There's probably 3 or 4 or 5 versions of the software and the firmware for the actual device until release day. So I'm actually showing you something that isn't finished. So things might not work. And then I'm the asshole that has to sit in the video saying, that's gonna be good when it comes out. But do I actually know that? Am I now making false promises for the brand? That puts me in a precarious situation because you're trusting me to evaluate the thing. What if the thing isn't finished? What if I'm saying, well, it's IK, when it comes out, this is going to be fine. Well, now I'm trusting IK to actually make it fine when it gets released. Now with IK, I've done the Arc On-Ear headphone thing. Really good. The one I tested was not the actual final release version because I made my video a few days before the release. So they added a couple more headphones. It was working totally fine. But I actually looked at it when there weren't even, more than 5 speakers in there and 7 headphones or whatever. I looked at it way too early, which is a waste of my time. But that's not your issue. The one that actually comes out needs to be fully tested, bulletproof, and ready to go. And how can that be if the day before they're still running updates on the software and the hardware? That's an issue. And they did that. I'm sorry, IK, I love you guys, but you did that for Arc On-Ear, you did that for Tonex Plug, and now I'm looking at the new Resync software, which is great, but it already cost me days because install wasn't happening, and now I'm trying to train, there's an issue. It's cool. It worked for a bit, and it's great. The results I got when it was working, great. But this is actually already kind of rolled out. You can already kind of get that in a version that still needs to be tweaked. But okay, that's okay. Universal Audio. They're not gonna like it that I'm talking about them. I'm sorry, guys. I love you guys. You're great. But they rolled out the version 2 of the UA effects, which now gives us MIDI capability. I know it's with USB. My friend Jana, she actually bought a Stream Deck XL that has knobs on it and programmed it to have knob control over the MIDI parameters from a computer. So she hooked up the pedals to a computer and programmed the Stream Deck to do MIDI to the pedals. That's pretty clever. You can do all that stuff. But I was working with it a week before release, and there were still big issues. There were still some issues when I made the video 4 days before release, and I said to them, this is a release that is free. You're not going to make a lot of money on it. Actually, zero. You might sell a couple more pedals now because now they have a better MIDI capability, or any. But it's not about is stock at the dealer. Sometimes the release date is all the dealers month before were told the release date, they're in stock, they've got their marketing campaign running. So if you change to the release date, that's a big issue sometimes. Well, with the free update, that's not an issue. They could have pushed this back a month and nobody would have cared. Because nobody knew it was coming. It would have been the same surprise in December than in November. No money would have been lost, but we would have had a thing that actually fully was rolled out, tested, and no bugs. And as it stands, it was rolled out on Tuesday, and there are still some updates to the app happening every day now. Is that necessary? You can just make a better impression when you get your shit ready. Okay? And I oftentimes have to work with beta software. There's new stuff coming, and I assume that it's going to be the same deal. I don't know why companies do that. But it's not an IK problem. It's not a UA problem. NewX with their looper. Now, it had 2 modes, which really for a cool 2-track looper that's great hardware-wise, that's not enough modes. So they said, oh, don't review it. We're going to bring out an update, firmware update. Please install that. Okay, I did. Then it had 3 modes. And if you watch my video, I'm pointing out a lot of features that thing needs to be really good. I'm sure they're working on it. And there's going to be 5 modes or 6 modes or whatever, and lots of little tweaks that it needs to be the great product that I know they can make it. But why not make it before you release it? You can already buy the damn thing. So how would you do that? Well, you send it to Perfecto de Castro, who did a video on it. You send it to reviewers. You send it to the people that will take it apart. I mean, not literally, but that will look at it and pick it apart and, oh, I wish it had that, I wish it had that. And then you have a conversation with them, as I did, on Zoom and say, hey, this and this and this and this and this would be great to have. And if it had these things, I wouldn't have to criticize it. And then you go to town, make it ready, and then you determine, okay, now it's going to come out in 2 months from now. Because now we can get videos scheduled, we can get it to our dealers with the correct firmware installed. And I know money earlier means food in mouth for family. Makes total sense. I get it. But is it fair? First of all, I mean, crybaby YouTuber. Is it fair to us to waste our fucking time dealing with unfinished stuff, running into problems, having to talk to tech support for stuff that's unfinished? And is it fair to you if you're actually buying something that, you know, maybe has 2 modes and you're like, or 3 modes, and you're like, I don't like it. Then it's up to you to stay on guard because you really want the product but not in that state. Then it's up to you to go and, I really want this. Let's do a notification when they publish a firmware update. And who has reviewed that firmware update with the 6 modes? Nobody. Because all the money already went into a launch campaign for a product that wasn't fully ready. Is that right? I don't know. I'm going to go to the next one. I want to say that's a thing that's just happening right now. And maybe I'm just in this bubble where, well, I'm unlucky to have all this stuff. AirStep. There's an AirStep TX, and there's already videos about it. So you can control your Tonex 1 and your Tonex with USB-C cable. Now, AirStep TX is, I don't know, maybe $100. And for the Tonex 1, I get it. Because you can't control it any other way other than with USB, but it's not USB MIDI, so the AirStep has a special protocol, and that works. Controlling the big Tonex with USB through AirStep TX makes no sense to me because the damn thing has MIDI. Just use any MIDI switcher. Okay, so videos launched, and my friend Jamie Humphries took it on stage with a big Queen tribute band. Thousands of people in the audience. The guy is a professional fucking player, okay? Not much to look at, but damn can he play. Hey, Jamie. And apparently on the second foot switch, you have preset up or preset down and he was going to go to the next preset or one lower, and he just held it a bit too long. Well, on long press, on that, couldn't change it, was amp off. Why would you ever want to turn your amp off? That's a dumbass feature, which they agreed. But he was on stage with a DI sound all of a sudden. He didn't know what was happening, and the ripping solo he was supposed to play was just a dry DI sound because he turned the amp off in Tonex. Why would you fucking want that? Okay, so was it fully functioning? Yeah. Was it functioning in a way that didn't make sense because they didn't consider that? Absolutely. So Jamie offered some advice. I've had the thing sitting here for a long time. They said, don't make a video yet. We're still working on stuff. I'm like, okay. And then Jamie delivered input. This should be the layout. Take the amp off, gone, blah, blah, blah. You can also control it with the big air step, with the multi-air step. That's the one that has MIDI and can do everything. Why you, if it has MIDI, need to control your Tonex with USB unless it's Tonex 1? I don't understand. For the big one, you could just use MIDI. So Jamie delivered ideas to them, and then they said, don't make a video. We want to fix that first. I'm like, oh, of course. I'll wait. Months pass, and they're like, well, we now have a beta version. And that's the first company where I said, look, I'm not interested in being your beta tester. I don't get paid for that. That's not my job. Funny enough, that is my job with many companies. Many companies, Blackstar, I'm sorry, I'm going to throw them under the bus as well. This is not these companies are bad. This is you can see across the business issue. Just like in the video game world, it is an issue. So, they said, could you, use that, but it's still in beta. I'm like, no, I don't want to run into problems, then have to talk to you. You're 7 hours ahead. It robs so much of my time. Let me know when it's ready, and then I'll look at it. Okay. So she writes me weeks later, we're ready. It's tested. It still says beta on it, but okay. It's all tested, she says. Okay. Update the AirStep TX, which is the one that really matters. And then I'm trying to update my AirStep Multi. Doesn't work. I've got 2 of these. Doesn't work. Different cables. Doesn't work. Different computers. Doesn't work. Happens that these are the first batch of AirSteps ever, and those simply don't update. Okay, fine. Should have known that. But that wasn't the issue. The issue was they wanted me to work with a beta version, which I know we could do. What I'm going to do from now on, if someone says it's in beta, I'm going to say, okay, it's going to be $100 extra because I'm going to run into shit. I'm going to run into problems. I'm going to run into installation issues, having to install things that are way more complicated than using the installer, but downloading that bit from here and that bit from there and putting it together and sewing it together and super gluing it together, whatever. Again, these things happen. Sometimes things happen where it's not necessarily a beta version, but where I got the, the Syn 20 IR, the amp. And I ran into a problem of it being on the DI out way too hot. Way too hot. I literally had to pad the input. It was just, and it was related directly to the channel volume. So that's what you set up for good sound. You don't really want to take that down. And so there was half a day of back and forth. Leo is a great guy, really knows the shit. And he very quickly programmed a version where he just trimmed that down for me and said, I will, if this works, I will put that in the final release. So that wasn't really here's a beta version. It wasn't the intention, but I ran into an issue that they then fixed. Well, these things happen. That's totally fine, right? Still took about half a day of back and forth and, yelling at each other for a bit. You don't know what I'm doing now. You don't know what I'm doing. You're using it wrong. No, I'm not using it wrong. No, it wasn't like that, but you know what I'm talking about. It just takes time to get to the point. So I don't understand why that has, not the synergy, there was a different thing, but why things are so close in their development to a launch day, even on launch day, still having updates to the app with the UA. The app actually wasn't ready when they said it would be. They released it at midnight their time, and then my video was out for a long time, and everyone's like, well, where's the app? The app still looks the same. App still looks the same. There was no reason not to push it back. There wasn't even money to be made. And sometimes there is money to be made, but why release something that's, I'm going to call it unfinished, or at least untested in many scenarios? And I wish this was just those companies. Those were just the issues in the last 4 weeks in my work, right? And some of you notice these issues because things are still wonky when things come out. Some of you play video games and you notice that you paid for something that you didn't get. I mean, talking about pay for something you didn't get, you thought I was going to forget about Neural? You always go, what about Neural? You already wrote Neural about half an hour ago. I know. So Neural, of course, beautiful makers of amazing software and nice people. Hey Neural, you know I had to mention you, released the Quad Cortex with the promise of it will run their software plugins. And then 3 years later, they still didn't. They probably ran into problems, made big promises. Oh, we can easily do that. Piece of cake. It's got the power. We can do this. And then they actually stopped showing up to NAMM shows and putting a big soon sign so that, people knew that the update was finally coming. They were so embarrassed that they didn't even show up to trade shows. Don't know if that was the reason, but looked like it. They overpromised and underdelivered. Oh, please watch my Lava Studio video. That was sent to backers on Kickstarter recently, 3-4 weeks ago. And at Guitar Summit, the guy showing it was so embarrassed of the missing functionality that he actually put prototype stickers on everything. So this amp with a built-in tablet, didn't sound phenomenal for the price point. And then, you know what they told me after I launched my video? The ones we sent to influencers didn't have the final speakers in it. The speakers that the customers are getting will be a lot better. Explain to me how you put a product in front of influencers, the ones that will judge it. Hopefully, apparently a lot of people were just, oh, it's so great. I didn't say that. And I know a couple of my friends, they shall be unnamed, who got it, who said, we can't make a video, that thing sounds like ass. I'm not going to make a video on that. That doesn't sound good. So they refused payment to, not review it. So why would you, first of all, that's bullshit to tell me that it's going to be better. We sent you an inferior version, but the software was lacking in so many ways. Oh, it's got a built-in DAW. No, it has you can only record guitar, and you can't copy it then overnight got a copy-paste function. But there was almost no functionality. It was so simplistic. The one I had, if you watch my video, there was a huge preset list, hundreds of them. And when you clicked on add preset to my list of what I want to use, click, didn't even do something. Well, after Summit, there was an update. All of a sudden, it could do that. It had literally broken features in it. And that was weeks before launch. And that was months after it already had been reviewed by many, or presented by many other people. Now, why would you send such an unfinished product to be presented, demoed, or in my case, reviewed? If you send it to someone that you know is going to be picky about it and honest, maybe make sure it's fucking done. So at Summit, the thing has backing tracks, it has loops and the preset library. And at Summit, none of that was working because it requires internet connection for that. Why the fuck aren't these things on it? Okay, you've got new backing tracks, fine. Next time you get an internet connection, download, bam. But it's in the actual thing. The thing only has 64 gigabyte of memory, which should still be enough for a couple of MP3s. But even the presets, which require no big memory, are only in the cloud. So if you don't have internet, like at Summit, where you don't have internet, all it could do is play the 5-6 presets on the preset page. You couldn't do anything else with it. No backing tracks, no looping, no drum loops, that's what I mean, and no presets. That thing was so far away from finished, and it shipped to backers who paid millions altogether into the most successful Kickstarter campaign in the music industry for a product that's pretty damn expensive that I was told the one I had doesn't even have the good speakers in it yet. Don't send something out for review that's not finished. I had to update it 3 times and it still sucked. So, when they finally deliver on the promise of everything it's supposed to be able to do, it's going to be a good product. That's what I said in the video. I like the potential of it, not what I'm seeing that right there. So again, promises. Releasing things too early because money. And yet again, I hope that the companies who I mentioned, maybe not Lava, will be forgiving that I call you guys out. But marketing, product management, all you guys need to stand up to the boss when the boss says, I need a new Lamborghini, or I want to go to the Bahamas, or I want this out because I'm so proud of it. Well, then you should have it out when it's solid. Now to you, you might get a slightly buggy thing. I'm getting the really buggy things, and I'm so frustrated, and that shouldn't be an issue for you at all. That's just an issue for me, because it's robbing a lot of my time. And I'm not getting paid to be a beta tester. And I'm not getting paid to wade through, buggy software and wait for the next update and communicate with them about things not even installing, because I can't find the install folder. I'm getting paid to review it, hopefully the finished version, and then produce a video. Okay? And I'm pretty damn cheap for what I do. But if you add that on top of it, I should, when they say we got it in beta, add $100. Okay, I'll look at it. But that makes me beta tester. That's $100 extra. I mean, they're not going to go for it. I'll probably lose jobs if I do that. But I could try. So I think what's happening in the video game industry, I don't know about phones. Who else did that? What else was that? There was something else where it was like delivered later. I think on the phone too, Apple something. They were like, we're going to deliver that functionality later. Was it the translation thing on the Apple EarPods? Or they showed it and said, you can get the phone next week, but this feature and this feature coming next year. Helix Stadium. I get it. They wanted to announce it this year. I made a video about that. They wanted to announce it this year. I get it. And people are now getting it. Fine, we've got the Agora models, and it's probably great, and people are saying it sounds good. And I'm curious to play with one if Yamaha wants that. Line 6 / Yamaha. But the whole, we also now do profiling, or whatever they call it, profiling, modeling, amp capturing. Well, that's next year. And yeah, they have a billion features in there, and at some point they had to say, this is how we're shipping it, or we'll never ship it. And Line 6 is extremely good at rolling out updates and improving their stuff throughout the years. And they already said, we're gonna do that, but that's next year. But to me, it feels a bit quad cortexy. Yeah, you're gonna have the capability to play our software. I don't know. Should they have waited? Probably not with that. That might be a different issue. But you can see that it is an issue, I think, across many industries. Video games, I don't know about cameras, if there's like, well, we're going to add 6K later. Definitely phones, Apple promising things later. Not with movies, though. Well, our movie's going to have George Clooney in it, but not when it gets released. We're going to add him digitally next year. So if you want to go to the movie theater again or buy it on streaming something, then it's going to have George Clooney. But right now, it's going to have some no-name actor with a horrible face. I don't know. With movies, no. With software, they're cutting it extremely close to launch dates and sometimes even past launch dates, which is really the bigger issue. We shouldn't be as bad as the music as the video game industry. I think we should be better because what we do is really less big. And there's 300 million in a video game. We don't have that. We've got now the UA effects pedals have MIDI. We would have all survived another week without MIDI on the UA effects pedals. That wasn't the thing that all of a sudden changed Universal Audio's trajectory in the world. I'm just bitter because I got to work with all this slightly unfinished things and then talk to them, and I don't like to talk to people, even though actually the guy from UA was super, super nice and very knowledgeable, and I love the people at UA, at IK, UA, IK, whatever. So I like to talk to these people, actually. It's not true that I don't like to talk to these people. But it does cut into my time. Because I'm like, I'm going to play with this, install this, and then make the video this afternoon. And then 3 days later, I'm still sitting here, tech support. Okay. No offense to any of the companies. Y'all doing it. Stop doing it. Might be there goes my job. Who knows? We'll find out. Did animals at the end.